Hello, I'm Rabbi Garfinkel, and I welcome you to the Ask My Rabbi show, the interactive video blog that gives you the opportunity to ask me questions about Judaism anonymously and to get life advice from a Jewish perspective. Today's question comes from Lisa in Atlanta. She asks, "My son just told me that he's gay, and I'm devastated. All I wanted was some grandchildren. Whose fault is this? Is there a cure?" Lisa, thanks for turning to the Ask My Rabbi show for an answer to your important question. I can tell that you are in a tremendous amount of pain, and I hope that I will be able to relieve some of that pain, if only a little bit. You are currently experiencing the 5 stages of grief, just as you would if someone you loved had died. In this case, your son is not dead, but the dream and image you had for his and your own life is. You wanted your son to get married to a nice Jewish girl so you could bounce a nice Jewish baby on your knee, and now you won't get to do that, at least not in the way you wanted to. The first stage of grief is denial. You want to know if there is a cure for homosexuality. I do not believe that there is a way to turn a homosexual into a heterosexual. It seems to me that the desire for same-sex relationships is inborn. There is a growing amount of scientific evidence that the brains of homosexuals are simply different. You are denying that which is manifestly true, and that's normal in the grief process. There are groups that claim they can reverse homosexuality, and there are people who claim that they have changed, but it is highly debatable whether such treatments are ethical and whether therapy of that kind could ever work in a permanent sense. The second stage is anger, and from the message you sent me, I can tell that you are very angry. You ask, quote, "Is it my stupid schmuck of a husband's fault for not taking my son to ball games and letting him play with Barbies instead?" I understand your anger, and I want you to know that it too is a normal part of dealing with grief. Your son's homosexuality is not anyone's fault, not yours, not his, and not your husband's. Playing with Barbies instead of watching sporting events does not turn someone into a homosexual. As the Jewish tradition says, Gam ze ya'avor, this too shall pass. You will eventually come to terms with your son's sexual orientation if you want to maintain a relationship with him. The next phase you may go through is bargaining, either with your son or with God, trying to make a deal that will cause him to change his sexuality. When you realize that there is no deal that can reverse his homosexuality, you will go through the 4th phase of depression. Like the anger you feel now, it is normal and not something to be ashamed of. Finally, and this may take many years, you will come to accept your son and this aspect of his lifestyle. You still won't like it, you still won't approve of it, but you will be able to love your son anyway. May God comfort you in your grief and bring you to a state of peace and acceptance speedily and soon. And that's the end of this episode of the Ask My Rabbi show. I'm Rabbi Eli Garfinkel of Temple Bethel in Somerset, New Jersey. If you would like to ask me a question, please feel free to do so at askmyrabbi.com. Shalom.